Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Brian Tann, and this is another edition of Tann Talks. All right, what's going on, everybody? I am your host, Brian Tann, and with me, as always, is Melinda D. And we talking episode 8 of The Last of Us. We are almost done. One more episode, but I'll tell you, Melinda, this episode 8 of The Last of Us, uh, here titled "When We Are in Need." This is probably one of the most difficult hours of television that either one of us has
Yep.
spent. Basically, so if you have not watched the episode yet, this is your spoiler warning, but it's already Tuesday, so you probably should have, unless you're one of those that waits until the series is completely done and then you binge it all in a day, which is cool too. But if for whatever reason you have not seen The Last of Us episode 8, then this is your spoiler alert. Also, trigger warning for victims and survivors of sexual assault, as Melinda and I both are. This was a hard episode. This was a
Yeah.
very hard episode. And I definitely want to get this out of the way before we start breaking down the episode. Um, so last week we both made this bit of a comment on the episode Left Behind. Now, Left Behind got its score looks like it's gotten better. It's at an 8.5 out of 10 out of 27 ratings with one rated rotten. Now, last week when we were going over the episode, it was a little bit lower, and even the episode 3, which is the Bill and Frank episode, it's even gotten better with time. You know, as the trolls have had their voices kind of nudged away.
Yeah.
But we talked about how people are giving these episodes bad reviews. They're review bombing, which people started doing with Captain Marvel, with Ms. Marvel, and basically any property, any IP that is in any form of medium, television or big screen, that they don't like because there are women empowered or LGBTQ plus, they review bomb it.
Yep.
And last week, I felt that the critical reception of Left Behind should have been a lot higher. And we sort of touched on that it really feels like it was more of the anti LGBTQ because it was
Hmm.
a very, very, very solid episode.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
really
care what
was.
anyone says. It was a great episode. It was a great, great, great character building episode. This week we're only a 2 day. We're 2 days away because we were 2 days last week as well,
Hmm.
and it didn't look like it had as many good reviews. But this week we're 2 days on, and it's doing famously. But it's almost like people are more willing to accept pedophilia and sexual assault than they are on an LGBTQ relationship, and that disgusts me. It really does. Look, again, it's been said in many forms of these IPs. The actors have been saying it, producers have said it, directors have said it, writers have said it. If you don't like it, the fandom don't need you.
Yeah. Don't let the door
So
hit you on the way out.
yeah, and I'm gonna let that part of it go, and I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna give the trolls any more of our energy, effort, and time. So this episode picks up immediately
Well,
after.
before
Well, not. I'm sorry.
before
Go
we
ahead. Go
pick
ahead.
up there,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm just gonna step in with my PSA here.
yeah, yeah.
Like you mentioned, both of us being survivors. If anybody out there that is listening, if you are also a survivor, if you know somebody who is a survivor, if you care about somebody who you think maybe, there is a group called RAINN, RAINN. Their website is rainn.org. It is the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. They have a 1-800 number. It's 1-800-656-HOPE. And they have an online chat. It is free. It is confidential. It is 24/7. If this applies to you, you are not alone. There are a number of us that are willing to talk about it now. There are a larger number that are not. Um, but you are not alone. It's okay. There is help out there for you. Please call, reach out, send the chat number. When this gets posted, I'll go in and I'm going to drop the link to this group in the comments for anybody who needs it. Just know that you're not alone, and there is help out there. If you need it, please reach out to somebody that can help with that.
Yep, and we're actually going to have the information for Rain scrolling on the bottom of your screen here in case you need it. Once again, it's www.rainn.org. Phone number 1-800-656-4673. So yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna leave that scrolling at the bottom of our screen for the duration of this episode as we talk about it, because this was a difficult episode to watch. This was really, really all right. Let's get right to it. So we start off with the commune, and someone's died, and there's a lot of foreshadowing in this episode. By the way, there's a ton of foreshadowing for those that have played Last of Us 2. I didn't play it, but I heard about it, and actually when it got spoiled for me, that's another reason why I haven't played Last of Us 2, because of the spoiler. But
Game 2?
Yeah, game 2.
Okay. Just want to make sure I heard you.
Yep, and I will say this, the foreshadowing is there. So we meet this character, we meet this fella by the name of David, who is in charge of this group. And, they're doing the praying and all that, which automatically gives you the creepy vibes, because anytime there's like a religious commune in any form of cinema or television, something bad's going to, they're up to something no good. We find out later that the person that they're mourning and the little girl that's really, really upset is the daughter of the guy that stabbed Joel. Now you'll notice these are the people that attacked Joel, not the last episode, but the episode before, at the end, when they go from Tommy's to the university and there's no one there, the raiders are there, and they get attacked. So it's probably like a day or so after Ellie has finally stitched up Joel. She's trying to give him water. She's taking care of him. And then she goes hunting. And I'll tell you what, man, she was paying attention when Joel was telling her about giving her those hunting cues and whatnot. And she did what
I guess he did teach her.
He taught her very, very well. Because I'll tell you what, if I went hunting, there's no way I'm hitting a buck my first time out. I'm just not. I know that about myself. I am not a good shot when it comes to, let me see, I've never even fired a rifle. I fired a shotgun and I missed everything. Now,
I haven't fired. I'm pretty proficient with a handgun. But
yeah, I'm great with a handgun. I shot in the top percentile anywhere I've gone to shoot with a handgun. Give me a semi-automatic pistol, and I'm crushing that. I'm crushing center mass every single solitary time. I will not go for the head because that's not practical, but I will crush center mass. With a rifle, I am as useless as a goat with butter on its hooves. Okay, I am useless. And of course, I left Odette's training collar downstairs, and she's trying to go after the cat.
That's right. Anyway. I don't know if you can see the hand keeps coming in. My son is like, I'm just going to drop in and make clicker noises during your podcast, Mom. Well, so if you hear a clicker, it's my 14-year-old.
All right, I'm going to throw a punch through the screen because those noises creep me. Every time I hear them in the game, they creep me out. But so she goes out, she nails this buck, and then she runs into David James. James, of course, played by original Joel, Troy Baker. Finally got to see him.
Finally.
And they decide to make a deal. She's going to split the deer with them for penicillin when she discovers that not only now Ellie is being rightfully cautious. She's not trusting them, but when she finds out they've got medicine, she tells them, we'll split the deer, you give me penicillin, and it's a done deal. But then, of course, we find out, because David knows who Ellie is, because number one, you put two and two together. There's no way that a guy that got injured, because they know Joel got hurt.
Yeah.
And there's not many guys traveling with a little girl in the wasteland. So they see a little girl by herself. It ain't that hard to put two and two together. But I'll tell you what, man. David is very, very, very smooth and smart. He knew how to keep Ellie talking, to give his guy time to do what he needed to do, and to get her what she wanted so he could find out everything he needed to find out from Ellie. And what really made me feel creepy and just dirty is the fact that he said that he was a teacher before the
Yes.
world
Oh, my
fell.
skin crawled.
Mine too. And then he became a minister after the world fell. It's like, man, so you've got no one else to groom as a teacher. And once more of his story started to come out, because I was thinking that he was more of a Negan like character. Now, granted, like I said, I played the game, but it's been a while. Maybe I blocked this part of it out. But I was almost thinking, well, maybe he was like Negan in the sense where he was this unassuming everyday guy. And then he's just this creepy ass dude because of everything he's been through and the weight of, his people. Nope. We find out later. Down. So she takes the medicine and she just injects Joel. And I mean, at that point, she's like, I don't know what to do. So she's like, And really, when it comes to penicillin, I mean, honestly, it's not wrong in a sense. I mean, I can't remember where she injected. Did she inject in?
She injects him right in the
wound,
like right in there.
Now, number one, that shit had to hurt. That'd hurt like hell because
I don't think Joel felt a damn thing. I think he was unconscious and had no clue what was going on with him.
Well, that makes sense. But I would think now, I've never had to give injections on anything. For penicillin, though, wouldn't you want to go just find a vein and get it into the bloodstream? Or
I don't know. Like, I know. Okay, so one of my kids is allergic and the other is not, and the other has had when he gets strep, he always gets it like the day before we fly out, so we can't take meds on the plane.
Right.
So he's gotten an injection. It's usually in his thigh. So I think it's one of those muscular medications that as long as you get it into the muscles, it'll go where it needs to go.
Okay.
But I've got the Google machine, so I will.
Gotta love
I'm
Mr.
gonna look that
Google.
up real quick.
Mr. Google. So
I don't think it's like an IV where it's a muscular injection. Usually in the according to the Mayo Clinic, it is given as a shot into a muscle, usually the upper butt or hip area. I know in younger kids they do it in the thigh.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those, like, it's intramuscular, it gets in your muscle, and then it kind of goes where
spreads.
It needs to go.
Yeah, and it's funny. The world is basically being. The stomach isn't a bad spot. Yeah, that's a good spot.
Yeah, I have an intramuscular medication I take, and it's either in the arm, in the thigh, or in the stomach.
Okay.
And I know people that do fertility medication. It's the same thing, thigh or stomach. So.
Right. Well, that's also why I believe it's rabies shots. They go directly into the stomach.
Yeah.
So.
Apparently, it doesn't hurt. My friend had that because I'm like, oh man, it hurts in my thigh. And she said, yeah, it hurts in the thigh. Try the stomach. It doesn't hurt as much. And in my head, I'm like, there's no way. That doesn't make any
sense.
That definitely is going to hurt like hell.
So she gives him about 2 injections because it's like, hey, man.
Just she guesses on the dosage.
Yeah, she's just like, yeah, that works. Yeah. So honestly, she's lucky she didn't freaking kill him because.
Yeah, and that he wasn't allergic.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say, and he might even be allergic. Who knows? So, but David and company are searching for her. So she decides, and I love how she goes, Joel, listen, wake up. There's some guys after us. I'm going to lead them away. But if they get down here, you kill them.
That's right. It's on you, man.
It's like, bruh, I've been unconscious for like days, and I almost died.
Go back a half a second. Can we just appreciate, she gives him that second injection, and she curls up on him.
Yeah.
And he has just enough consciousness to realize, like, we've talked about the evolution of their relationship and this beautiful journey they're on. And in that moment, like we always say, it's this moment that you can see it. No, really, like, this, I think, is that first real moment where you see she curls up on him, and he is like any parent will tell you. Like, my daughter came into bed at 3 a.m. Mommy, I had a nightmare. Can I sleep with you? I was totally unconscious, but conscious enough to scoot over, get her under the sheets, and curl up around her so she felt safe. And even though Joel can't move, can't do all of that, he is conscious enough that she is there
and
and
he
he
puts
moved
his
his
arm
head.
around her
I didn't even
and
not
just
even his arm, his
no,
head.
he's
He just
just
kind of
closer
cuddled his
to
head
her.
into her.
Yep.
And I was like, man, that right there,
That's
that is
apparent.
the moment. That is
Joel is a
apparent.
dad. Joel is a dad again in that moment. Well, I think he's been a dad the whole time with her, much
Yes,
to
yes,
his
but
chagrin.
that was very much the like, I
That
can't
was it.
comfort you because it's that unconscious, like primal protect my kid instinct. Like, I
Right.
can't do anything to hold you right now because I'm incapacitated, but I can give you this little bit of physical comfort that I
Right.
am here and I know
Right.
you're here.
And you see that he actually wills. I still say that he willed himself back up because I'm sorry, two random ass shots of penicillin. If you were in that bad of a shape, I mean, look, penicillin works wonders.
It
It
works
does.
quick.
It works quick, but I mean, but you still got to recover, man. You still got
Yeah.
to get your strength back. Joel was just like, Ellie ain't here. I kind of remember what she said. These
Uh-huh.
guys are here. I'm gonna find out where my baby is,
That's
and I'm gonna
right.
feel the pain later. And
Joel at
Joel,
5% is more than those dudes at 100%, and
oh
that's
my
a
god,
frightening concept.
yeah. So let's split that in half. So let's split it in half for a second. Let's split it in half for a second. Let's talk about Joel's part first,
Yeah.
and then we'll go to Ellie's. Part of me is trying really, really hard to really get myself more centered, just a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more before we jump to Ellie's.
Get myself in some Zen space before we
Yeah.
move into that.
So Joel, at this point, it's almost like as soon as Ellie tells him that, it's almost like that end scene in Underworld when dude's blood gets to Marcus and his eye just snaps open. It's almost like Joel is just like he's finding those reserves of energy in his body because it's like Ellie's gone, she ain't back, strangers are nearby. Whoo. And
Yep.
Joel just doesn't waste any time. Takes one dude out, chokes him out, and it's almost like he fed into the dark side of the force and he just kept going. And Joel
Yep.
has shown this before. He has shown that machine before. We saw it in episode 1 when the guy
And
pulled the
two.
gun. Yep, and in episode 2 where Joel went off and he choked this dude to death to the point you choke the dude out hard when he goes out with a smile on his face. I
Yeah.
mean, he choked. That almost looked like I almost made a real tasteless joke, and it's probably not funny because people dying isn't ever funny. But it's like, honestly, if I were into autoerotic asphyxiation and I did it wrong, that's probably how I'd look when I'd went out. Like, just have that half smile, like it was worth it, because that was the look it looked like he had to me. And then Joel catches the other two, and we've seen Joel do this before when he has two people tied up. You're gonna point me in the right direction, and it better not be, and it better be the same thing that your buddy shows me.
Well, even those dudes, like it was very much like we want vengeance, and even if you thought for even half a second that David was a decent guy, right? Just a half a second, you're like, maybe
His
I'm misreading
people,
this, right?
his
He's
people are
like,
showing that they're
keep
jerks.
the girl, kill the
Yep.
dude, and I'm like, oh, okay, nope,
And that
I did
especially
not misread
shows.
that.
Yeah, that especially showed where he was all about her.
Yeah.
Screw the other guy.
Yep.
But it's like,
You want vengeance? Fine, take him out, but don't touch her.
and what really gets me though is y'all attacked them.
Yeah. Well,
How are they at fault? Like, I
I
don't
mean,
get it.
everybody's a victim in their own eyes, right? And all they
I
have is, I mean, I think the
look,
community was very much like when they came back, oh, this guy attacked us. But I mean, I think David and company,
they
in
know.
leadership, they know.
Well, not only that, but we also find out later on that they've been eating their dead.
Mm.
Like, Ellie finds that out later, and that was part of the creep factor. But
Yeah, well, we'll get to that.
yeah,
Let's
we'll get to
just deal
that.
with
So
Joel.
anyway, so Joel captures both of the other guys, and he does a very, very good job at persuading our friend with a nice
I
little
I've had 5, 6, 7 knee surgeries, I think. And he's like, I'll pop your kneecap off. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I felt that in my joints. I was like, oh
Oh,
no,
I felt it too.
no.
I felt it too. I'm rubbing my knees like,
Yes. I was like, oh, don't. I could feel that.
Pedro, man, come on. What
I could
happened
feel
to
it.
what happened to poor?
Ooh.
What happened to young Eddie, man? Eddie was such a nice guy. What happened to him?
Yeah,
But
bring back
yeah,
the guy from the Nicolas Cage movie. I like him.
yeah,
Come
there you go. Where's gentle version of Pedro? So he gets all the information he needs, and then he takes him out anyway. He's like,
on.
whatever. And he goes, "Why did you do that?" He wasn't lying. He's like, "Oh no, I believed him."
Yeah. Oh, and at that I was like, oh, that is cold.
Oh, that was ice. That was cold as ice.
Yeah. I don't need
And
anything else. I believe what he said. It's like, oh my God.
yeah, it's like Joel already knew because Joel knew. Joel knows why, because this is stuff that Joel's done before.
Yep.
Maybe not in the creep factor aspect or the eating people aspect, but still.
Mm-hmm.
So we get to Ellie. She's in a cage. She still hasn't told David her name.
Hang on. I need to take a cold drink of water first.
Yeah. So she hasn't told David her name. And he's really wanting it. Like, he's really pushing. And then, you know, he's telling her, you have no fear, you want a friend, you want an equal, and you can stay here and you can be safe. And as he's saying this, I'm like, bruh, she's just a baby.
Well,
she a baby.
Let me pull up his quote, because that whole thing he says to her,
it was just oh my God, like, dude, shout out for real to Scott Shepherd, because
he was awesome.
It's got to be so difficult to play someone like that. It's got to be so difficult, because I remember when I did West Side Story, and in the scene where the Jets attack Anita, I felt so dirty. I was crying after we shot that. To have that much hate come into my heart that wasn't there, but to make it believable, I felt so dirty. And I mean, Scott Shepherd had to have felt like he had to take like the longest shower of all time.
He nailed the creepy cult leader thing going on. And I mean,
he really did. He really did.
They hand the meat, he goes, venison. He goes, what is this? It's venison. And I was like, that's not venison. That's dad. She's eating dad. And then you see them eating it. And I was like, I just.
Yeah, because my whole thing was, I ain't never seen venison look like that before. Like,
So when he says to her, he says, you remind me of me, when she's in the cage. And then he says, you have a violent heart. And I know I've always had a violent heart and struggled with it for a long time. And then the next thing he does is compare himself to the cordyceps fungus. What does cordyceps do? Is it evil? No, it's fruitful. It multiplies. It feeds and protects its children. And it secures its future with violence if it must. It loves. And man, I have never felt stronger creeper vibes in my life than I did in that moment.
And we've gone through 11 seasons of The Walking Dead.
Yes. And then he continues, I'm a shepherd surrounded by sheep, and all I want is an equal. What could we do together? We'd make this place perfect. I was like, oh,
again, man. I'm like, dude, she's 14. She's a baby. What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And then I was like, bro, she's 14 and she's not into guys. What is wrong with you? You are so nasty. What the? And then he goes and
creepy cult leader.
Ugh. But I really love, though, when he goes to put his hand out and she just grabs his hand and breaks his fingers. And I'm like, yeah, Ellie. Yeah. And I'm rooting for it, too. I'm like, break them motherfuckers off.
And then she's like, tell them, I'm the girl who broke your fucking finger. Goes, and I was like, oh, savage.
Yeah, she was like, Ellie. My name is Ellie. Oh, Ellie's the little girl that broke your fingers. And he was pissed. Because you can tell he thought that. I want to know also, how many other girls in that community has he done this with?
I kind of got that vibe that he was potentially abusing Hannah, the little girl he slapped.
Yes.
And said, you'll always have a father. And I was like, then he he reached down to pick her up, and I'm like, man, this is the most gaslighting, creepy. Like, he is grooming this girl. Like, it was. Ugh.
He is just like ugh. So finally, when and then of course what kicked all this off though is that Ellie saw the ear
Yes.
on the floor, and he's like, "Yeah, we eat our dead because we're starving."
He's like, it's venison, I promise. And she's like, Now, Ellie in
No.
the game, she does eat some of it, right?
I think so. I think that's part of what that I believe so. It's been a while, but I believe she did. Or I think in the game, I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember. I truly don't remember. I think she did eat some in the game. I think. Or I think I'm trying to remember because I at least know in the Walking Dead Telltale games, we had a similar situation, and you actually stopped the little girl Clementine before she can eat any. So I'm praying that happened in the game, but it's been a while. I got to go back and revisit. But it wouldn't surprise me if she did eat a little bit in the game, though. I think they might have left it ambiguous. I think. So Ellie throws the food away, and that's what prompts the whole violence and everything. So when David and James show back up, she just starts fighting and she bites the hell out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how we get to that point when she goes, "Stop, I'm infected." And as soon as she says that, James looks at him like, "I don't think I can rock with you no more." It's
yeah,
like,
mistakes have been made.
Yeah. And then you're like, "Oh, she's lying." She goes, "Check my arm."
Mm-hmm.
And when they look, he's in denial. But I'm very curious. I'm wondering. It's like,
I feel like
he
kind
infected?
of. Well, I feel like is it not David, but James? He's from the beginning kind of questioning David. Like, that's when we very first
He's
meet
been
them,
questioning him the whole time.
David is like, "I have concerns about your faith," and David's like, "No, it's just been hard." It's like, has it though?
Yeah.
Like, he's questioning.
He has, that's the one redeeming quality I'll say about James is that he at least was kind of like, I don't know, but we've been following this guy, but I don't know. And so either way,
Yeah.
So Ellie just strikes and she lashes out and she gets James and takes off. And of course,
that's a nice shot.
That was great. That was a good job by her. Like,
Yeah.
she's good. She's good at what she does. Like, honestly,
but it fed into what David said: is you have a violent heart.
She's got violence in her when she needs it. I'll tell you that right now. So then, of course, now you can tell how absolutely disgusting David is, though, because the place is on fire and he don't care. Yeah. All he cares about is getting at her.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to that point where she stabs him, and then he gets on top of her. And as soon as that happened, it was like I was right back in that moment, in those moments, and I was living them all at the same time. Yep. And then Ellie did what so many of us wish that we could have done. She was able to fight back. And when she got him and kept going,
she did what Joel did in episode 2. She just blacked out and it was
and just went
and wailed at him.
I counted over 10.
Let's be real. After 2, he was probably done.
Yeah, but sometimes you just got to make sure. You know what that reminds?
It's a double tap. You got to make sure.
Yeah,
and then you got to make sure you make sure.
And again and again. Yeah, make sure to make sure to make sure to make sure you don't take anything.
Because at that point, she's not.
Any
part of her brain that is thinking.
It's all gone. Survive. It's all survive and fight. Survive and fight. And you know what? You know, the last time I saw a child go to that place on screen was Friday the 13th, part 4, when Tommy Jarvis is just wailing at Jason with his own machete, just yelling, "Die." Like, that was the vibe that I got. And like, that's how I felt with it, that was her just wailing. And then you got Joel coming up, and it's like, all of us, and I love how they put it during the after show documentary. And it's like we're expecting Joel to save Ellie, but it was Ellie that saved Ellie. And I think that was a very, very, very brave and great storytelling dynamic to show that Ellie saved Ellie.
Mm-hmm.
And when she gets out, she's just like, she's not even there.
Yeah,
It's
she's
just
completely dissociated.
get away. And she sees Joel, and Joel is what snaps her back.
Well, I don't think she sees Joel. He comes up behind her and grabs her by the shoulders.
Yeah, he comes up to her. Yeah, he comes up to her, and then she's freaking out. Then when she turns and she sees him and she realizes it's Joel, she snaps back to reality, and we hear him say, "It's okay, baby girl." I was
lost it.
I was like, and that's what I was. You know what? In that moment, that's what I needed that. I needed that. I needed that in that moment, because it's like he's basically telling her, "I'm here now. I've got you." And that's
he saves himself physically. He saves her emotionally. He does the dad thing.
Yeah, he didn't tell me what happened. It wasn't, no, it was, okay, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all
she needs. His coat, and he leads her away, and it was just
doesn't let her even look back. He just leads her away.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, I think that's what we as the viewers needed to see for the end of the episode, to make all of that traumatizing stuff, I don't even want to say okay, but for us to be okay. I think that's really legit what we needed. We needed
we're not left hanging. She's got some kind of comfort coming. Even if it happens off screen, and it's going to happen off screen. Right. She's got some kind of comfort coming to her to help her process what just happened.
And in those few seconds that we did get to see, it lasts a lifetime. It's kind of like when you have something happen to you and it's only been a split second, but time stands still. That's what we needed. And that was the episode. And I'll tell you what, this episode was, I mean, once again, this was entertaining, but it was difficult. We got to see Ellie vulnerable in a few different ways, especially seeing how she was with Riley in the last episode.
Yeah.
It's almost like we still got to see that vulnerability of Ellie, because, she's still afraid for Joel. You can tell that memory of Riley is still fresh. But she's still trying to do what she needs to do to save them.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's victimized. But even in her vulnerability, there is a lioness. And it comes out. And I think we learned a valuable lesson of, you don't mess with Joel and Ellie. But what upsets me is that the foreshadowing is there, and I told you this yesterday. I see the foreshadowing. I know what's going to happen. I know who's going to do it. And let's just say season 2, Ellie is going to be way more scary. Like, scary. And I'll tell you what, man, if I have to give out an MVP award for this episode, it's got to go to Scott Shepherd with with an argument. I mean, obviously, and the only reason why I don't say Bella Ramsey is because we come to expect this from Bella. We expect this from her. But for Scott and Troy, especially Scott Shepherd, to be able to just do what he did.
It's we've said it about other actors too, and what this show is fantastic at is I don't need 5 episodes to hate you.
No. I can hate you. It took me
5 minutes, and I was like, nope, this guy's got to go.
I can despise you as a character within the moment you come on screen.
Yep. And I know nothing about these characters going in.
Right.
So, like, again, my husband's sitting there knowing what's coming down the pipe. Nobody warned me about this, right?
Yeah.
But there's that meme going around right now is, every show is going to be Pedro Pascal as a badass escorting a magical kid. And I'm like, you know what, though? This broke that. Now we've got Pedro Pascal as a badass escorting another badass.
Yeah, he's basically, if you want to use the term grooming, he's grooming Ellie to be the badass of the future in this wasteland. That's
And
exactly
also,
what.
and I know we mentioned this yesterday, you and I, in our side conversation, is I've said it in the past, my kiddo's name is Ellie.
Yeah.
So listening to that was
Oh
really
God,
like
that.
next level difficult for me, because not only was I stuck in my own head, but now like he's calling Ellie's name and I'm like, not my Ellie. Mm-mm.
Oh, I'll tell you what. I'm not even gonna lie. When I heard him doing that, I felt this protective streak just start to kick in, and I started feeling like I started feeling away. Like
Yeah.
even thinking about it, I'm like,
I could feel my blood pressure again. My ears were getting hot. I'm like, I could feel every muscle just. And I'm not gonna lie, this episode ended. I went and I checked. There's another show I want to watch, because this other show, I'm one of those people. I'm gonna wait till the whole season's done.
yeah,
And I was like, all right, how long is this episode? Okay, it's 40 minutes. I'll go to bed. And that was it. I could not. I didn't stay up after I watched this episode. I didn't do anything. I let the dog out and I went right to bed. I just could not. I was done.
yeah. I don't
Done.
blame you. This was hard. This was a hard episode to get through. But I'll tell you what, the beauty of this episode, though, and the beauty of this whole series is that it doesn't pull any punches. It's going to hit us in the feels no matter what. And
And it's not gratuitous for the sake of being gratuitous.
right,
Like,
The Walking
it's
Dead
an HBO
got
show, right? So just
yeah,
knowing that, just
they
know
can do
it's an
what
HBO
they
show.
want.
They can do whatever the hell they want. And I mean, I enjoyed the beginning half of that other show that Bella
Yeah.
Ramsey was in.
Game of Thrones.
Thank you, Game of Thrones. I really enjoyed it.
But
a
it
lot
did
of that
feel
was
gratuitous at
gratuitous.
times.
It's like, we are doing this because we can, not because it enhances the story, not because it pushes the plot, not because it does any of these things, but because we can.
Boobs
And
and
because it's
blood.
an adult show and it's HBO. Whereas
Yeah.
I don't feel like anything we have seen in this show has been for any effect other than
The
to
story.
push the story forward.
Right. And kudos to Ali Abasi, the director, and to the production team, because that's a conscious decision.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very conscious decision. So we're going to bring in the bartender Smiley. We're going to we've kind of given our final thoughts, but we're going to give a final thought to the final thought, and then we're going to go with our ratings. So here's bartender Smiley.
The Plotaholics rating system for the movies is a pretty simple system. Basically, they rate movies based on how many shots it takes to get through them. So if you got a good movie and you get through it all the way sober, then it takes 0 shots to get through the movie. And then if you got a really bad movie, then it could take up to 5 shots to get through the whole thing. I think you can try to figure out the middle part yourself. So, what can I get you?
All right. Did that go through for you okay? Because it was paused. It was frozen for me. All right, cool.
No, it worked for me.
All right, cool. So, all right. So, Melinda, give us your final thoughts.
This is, again, another 0 shot episode. Every time I'm like, there's going to be one that's come along. And nope, hasn't happened. And I have a feeling next week's is going to be the same, but I'm not going to speculate on that just yet. I needed 0 shots to get through the episode. I needed a whole freaking bottle at the end for emotional support. But for the episode itself, 0. I mean, it was fantastic. The story was great. It was hard, but it was shot well. Kudos to the actors, because they just sucked you in from the minute that episode started.
Absolutely. That it's going to be a 0 shot for me as well again. And honestly, this whole, like, the only reason why I gave any episode a 1 shot was because I didn't want to call myself going through with a 0 shot the whole way through. But I mean, look, man, quality is quality. Good is good. And this is this is probably one of the best shows to come out on any platform, whether it be traditional television or streaming, in a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm even talking, like, honestly, I enjoy this first season more than I even enjoyed the first season of Game of Thrones. And I did enjoy the first season of Game of Thrones. It was cool. But this is just, it's different. It's so visceral without being gratuitous, as you already said. And they do an amazing job of as badass as Ellie and Joel are, they are human. They are regular people. Like, you could walk past Joel going to the store.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you wouldn't know. And I'll tell you what, man. Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal are just so dynamic together.
Yes.
Their chemistry is so real. And I'll tell you what, man. Bella Ramsey, like, I knew she was the truth when she was on Game of Thrones.
Yes, yes. I remember saying that about her. And I'm like, this girl, you're gonna have to watch her because she's a tiny, pint-sized badass. And then
yep, and here she is. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, man, I can't wait to see the things that she does in the future. They've already greenlit season 2 of The Last of Us, so that's going to be awesome. And like I said, I have an idea of what we're going to see and what it's going to be all about. But, you know, I'm excited for next week's episode. The final episode is Look for the Light. And again, I kind of know what's going to happen, but it's going to be really, really fun to see. Let's see. Today,
I can confidently say this is probably the best video game to any other media adaptation.
I agree.
I can't think of other video games where I'm like, they did a really good job as a movie or a TV show. Like,
I agree.
I mean, we've all got that nostalgia for
Mortal Kombat 95. Yeah.
The original Mortal Kombat movie, right? But it's not very faithful to the game. And the game, to be honest, the game's plot's all over the place.
It really is.
It was a good movie for what it was, but not as a video game adaptation. I mean, if you're talking about taking the plot of a game and making it into something. We've all got that nostalgia for Captain Lou and Super Mario, right? The TV show, the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Yep,
from the 90s.
Absolutely.
Kids, if you're watching this and I have dated myself with that show, please go watch it. It's fantastic. I
still remember the rap. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yes. But there are other there have been awful adaptations of things. Like the movie Super Mario was awful.
Yeah, that was just absolutely terrible.
And I'm not holding my breath for the new one.
Neither am I. House of the Dead was horrible. Both House of the Dead House of the Dead 1 was absolutely terrible. I actually liked House of the Dead 2. Even though it wasn't in a house, it was on a college campus. The Resident Evil movies with Paul W.S. Anderson were the first two. Well, the first one I really appreciated. And then it just went downhill. It became the Mila Jovovich superhuman show, which whatever.
There's other ones. I mean, Street Fighter, Resident Evil, like you said. Lara Croft.
Yeah, the new Mortal Kombat even. I mean, there have been so many video game to film and television adaptations. This is by far the greatest one. Like, absolutely. And
I will say I am honestly holding my breath for the Borderlands because the casting sounds good.
Yeah, the casting does sound really, really good. I feel bad. I have to confess. I have not been able to get through the first Borderlands, but I own all of the games. I own them all, but I have never been able to finish the first one.
All right, I'm going to step back and say, you know what, though? I will appreciate Detective Pikachu is probably one of my favorite video game adaptations to movies.
I never watched it.
And that's because Ryan Reynolds voices Pikachu. And Detective Pikachu is always trying to drink, like he's addicted to coffee, so he's kind of my spirit animal.
I hate Pokemon so much. I have not dealt
that show. All right, so the movie's actually it's good. Watch the movie, it's good. But there haven't been very many, and this is fantastic. This sets the bar really high. So I'm wondering. Mass Effect.
I'm about to say I was wondering when we can get a Mass Effect TV series. I want a Mass Effect series. But would you want Femme Shepherd or Female Shepherd? Would you want a female Shepherd or male Shepherd?
Femme Shepherd. 100% Femme Shepherd.
See, I always play as male Shepherd because I'm a guy.
And but there are so few, and this is a whole other episode.
It's a whole.
There are so few strong female video game protagonists that aren't like Lara Croft. Lara Croft was a joke. She had huge boobs, wore teeny tiny clothes, and ran around and like that. Yeah, okay, whatever. But Femme Shepherd was a badass from the minute you meet her till the minute that they screwed up the ending of that game. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think that. I forget. Oh, Mass Effect. Yeah, don't screw this one up. If Mass Effect ever gets picked up, take notes from The Last of Us because this is fantastic. This is what to do. Don't screw it up like every other show. Like
Absolutely.
Assassin's Creed. I love Assassin's Creed. That's my favorite.
I heard that
series,
movie was terrible. I heard that movie
awful.
was absolutely awful.
Awful. And I was so disappointed.
Fair enough. So now, as of today, we're recording this on Tuesday, March 7th. We have to double check and make sure we can do things the way we hope. We're hoping to do our Mandalorian Tann talks with Katie Salidas. So it'll be the three of us talking episodes 1 and 2.
I know, I gotta watch them tonight.
Of the Mandalorian. I have to double check it with Katie Salidas this evening, make sure that she's still going to be good for tomorrow. And if so, we're probably going to be doing that. We're going to probably be recording that tomorrow afternoon-ish. Or, we'll see what's what, because I've got like a litany of things that I've got to do. Like, I literally have no time to rest. But the one thing that I will say is that we will also be doing this a little bit differently. The things are going to look different after next week's Last of Us episode. For those that missed the announcement, the parent series, the Plotaholics podcast, has ended. We are going on an extended hiatus. So it's over, but not over. So where we're coming to you from this particular platform, we are going to be changing. So I've got to find ways to make it look nice and pretty and all this, that, and the other. So it'll look a little bit different until we can get things absolutely on point the way want it to be and blah, blah, blah. So for those that are watching and viewing, appreciate you. Thank you so, so much. But we'll talk to you guys soon. We're going to definitely have The Last of Us next week, the season finale. And then hopefully next week we'll be continuing on going through the Mandalorian. So
more Pedro Pascal.
And more Pedro Pascal. It's just Pedro Pascal time. It would be
Pedro Pascal edition.
Yeah. It would be peanut butter jelly time if it wasn't Pedro Pascal time. So with that being said, for Melinda, I'm Bryan Tann, and this has been another edition of Tann Talks.